Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Ong Bak 3, a Thai action movie from 2010 that stars Tony Jaa, who also partially directed the film along with Panna Rittikrai. Now after the events of Ong Bak 2, Tien, played by Tony Jaa, is held captive by Lord Raja-sena's soldiers, and he momentarily fights back when they try to beat him with wooden staves, but they manage to submit him, and Raja-sena orders Tien's elbows and knees to be snapped. Meanwhile, the village of Kana Khone is overwhelmed with people affected by a mysterious curse. In order to find a solution, Master Bua initiates a Buddhist pilgrimage in which it's revealed that the source of the curse is Bhuti Sang-kha, played by Dan Chupong, the dark mystic that defeated Tien in the last movie. Now, much of the first hour of Ong Bak 3 is dedicated to our protagonist's rescue and recovery. I do like how the main character gets beaten to a pulp multiple times early on, because it establishes his vulnerabilities. He's not invincible, right? The conflict does work during the earlier sections, but it gets progressively weaker later on. And I could see what they were going for with this in terms of themes, like relying more on inner strength instead of weaponry and external type things. But it's not especially deep stuff, and the resolution of the conflicts from the last film are totally unsatisfying. Like the evil lord is even more of a mustache-twirling caricature here than in the last film, and his impact to the story is kind of shortchanged and kind of an anticlimax. In general, I think the script is pretty lame in this, and it's an obvious downgrade from Ong Bak 2. They have this supernatural curse element that they really go all in on. I don't think it works that well. Perhaps a little bit too outlandish at times, which feels kind of inconsistent with the last film, which was more gritty and primal. There's also too many attempts at epic dramaticism, I think, which makes the movie seem unnecessarily long-winded and a little bit difficult to sit through, especially during the middle section. It kind of drags a little. Visuals, generally good. Get some pretty environments, good production values. Scoring is effective enough. In terms of action, the opening half hour of the film, I think is actually pretty good. The opening fight is a good one, with use of long chains and bow staffs as weapons. Choreography is pretty precise and creative. The beginning of Ong Bak 3 does feel like they're going to continue the quality of the predecessors. It gets off to a pretty good start. But a major problem arises when you realize that the opening third of the movie has almost all of the best fights. Overall, the degree of difficulty of the martial arts choreography is not quite as high as Jaa's last few films. As I mentioned, the first fight is pretty solid, and then there are a few other good fights to enjoy, but it's not awe-inspiring like Jaa's last few films. There's one scene very early on that should have been awesome. Dan Chupong fights the martial arts masters from the last movie. It's such a great opportunity to let some of the side characters shine again, have Chupong's villain get a great scene to really establish himself. But the scene is over, I kid you not, 1 minute. 1.5 minutes. It actually ruins those martial arts masters from the last film because they just drop like flies to this guy. I mean, having them not at least put up a fight, huge mistake. Huge. They should have just not even had the scene in the movie. There's a fight in a village after that's pretty good. Jaa does not participate in that one, but it's pretty good. And then Dan Chupong just shows up again and fights a bunch of guards, and it's a pretty good scene. But the end result, very unsatisfying from a storyline standpoint. Sometimes Ong Bak 3 feels like it's a showcase for Dan Chupong instead of Tony Jaa. And that makes the movie even more frustrating to watch because it's not that great of a showcase for Chupong anyways. So they're just kind of wasted potential here. The finale, it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Definitely the worst final fight of Jaa's last few films, though. So, I mean, in a nutshell, Ong Bak 3 has some good stuff in it. It's not completely, worthless or anything, but it is such a huge downgrade from the last two movies. Even at its best, even at its best, it's just pretty good. You know what I mean? And so I like marginally recommend this. I actually don't hate this as much as a lot of other people out there, but it's not something that's like I get excited for whenever I watch it. But if you've seen the first 2 movies in the franchise, you're probably going to check it out and decide for yourself anyways. Just don't go in with super high expectations. It's currently available on streaming and on physical media. And as always, I will see you next time.